Hi folks, so something happened today for me that reminded me of the movie The Adjustment Bureau. It was released in 2011, originally based on the Philip K. Dick short story called The Adjustment Team. Alright, so just a brief write-up about the movie that I'm just reading here of Google users, I don't know, something like that, maybe, yeah. It says, just as he is on the brink of winning a Senate seat, politician David Norris, played by Matt Damon, meets a ballerina named Alyssa Sellis, Emily Blunt. Though David is instantly smitten, mysterious men conspire to keep him away from the beautiful dancer. David learns that he is facing the powerful agents of fate itself, and glimpsing the future laid out for him, must either accept a predetermined path that does not include Elise, or else defy fate to be with her. Don't know how you pronounce her name. Elise, let's just say. So this idea, that in the movie, it's a very interesting and profound movie. The idea of men of fate. I mean, agents, the agents of fate, basically. Powerful agents of fate. And for myself, I was walking today and on the promenade here, and there was a woman that really caught my eye, and it wasn't really her beauty. I mean, she was easy on the eyes, but it was just her energy. And that's very seldom that happens to me, where somebody sort of stands out for myself, from amongst the crowd. All right. For myself, most people are just I don't know, blobs of energy. It just seems, nothing really sticks out to me, in a way. Nothing really catches my eye or my attention. Nobody in particular. And if people do, maybe it's in some small, subtle ways or something like that, which I don't even give too much thought about. But this woman in particular, she just caught my attention. She was walking by herself. She just looked curious about her surroundings, her environment. I mean, maybe she was a foreigner, and I really wanted to meet her. Now, she could have been a man, right? It could have been a male. It didn't matter. It was the energy that she was carrying. It could have been a male and a man carrying that kind of energy and that uniqueness that would have just really driven me to sort of introduce myself. Now, had it been a man, it probably would have been easier for me to do, okay, than rather a woman, because a woman, obviously, it looks like I'm picking her up, and that's my intentions, and so it complicates things. I mean, I remember there was a time where I misread a guy's energy who I actually thought was rather different, and we could probably get along or have similar interests, or I just liked his energy and resonated with it. And he was a youngerish guy. This was quite a few years ago, just comes to mind. And we're at a restaurant or a bar or some setting like that, and I was with other people, and I just saw him. He was by himself, and when I went to go chat to him, he felt like I was picking him up. I think he felt like I was gay, because it is a bit of a strange affair, let's say, even for one man to walk up to another man and to be rather, I think, polite and open and introduce yourself. I mean, it's just, especially in the world that we live in today, with social media and technology, where we meet each other most of the time on more of a personal, level. It's not so much face to face anymore. We're uncomfortable with that. So, so even with sometimes with a man or with a woman, we're very apprehensive to meet people, and we're kind of standoffish, for most of the time. And I also think sometimes in South Africa as well, being in a country that's got a lot of crime in it, you really have to be wary of people that just are talking to you randomly or on the street or something like that, because you never know what they might be up to. You never know whether there's some kind of agenda or a plan to for you to be harmed or robbed in any sort of way. Not that I look suspicious at all, but I mean, what I'm saying is generally people aren't very open, I think, when they're outdoors here in South Africa. And even though this was kind of by the beach area, I could see that, I mean, maybe she's traveling on her own, this woman, and so maybe she's already got a backup and feeling that she needs to protect herself. So anyway, I couldn't find an opportunity to sort of introduce myself, that without seemingly making it very, very weird or obvious, I wasn't picking her up, but just saying, hey, I like your energy, I mean, maybe I could have, but again, maybe we would have resonated, well, anyway, the point of this, what happened was that I was kind of following her on the promenade. She just happened to be walking in front of me, and then she took a left turn, and then she went in a different direction. I lost her, then she came back, and I thought, yes, I mean, it seems like it's lining up. I'm going to bump into her, and I'm busy walking behind her. Then, quite a far, distance back, and all of a sudden she turns around from walking. Let's say if she was walking up the road, and she just decided to turn down, and I didn't have a chance to sort of catch her. I didn't want to just seem like so out of the blue, say, hey, hi, or something, like, because she was walking pretty fast. She had her arms closed, crossed, and just admiring the buildings, and before I knew it, I just felt like I couldn't chase her. I just didn't feel like there was an opening, and it's not because I'm a shy guy, because believe me, if I had an opportunity, I would have made it happen, because I know how it's worth it. I know that if I am going to meet somebody whose energy that I resonate with, then I know that I'll really go out of my way if I have the opportunity. If I see a chance, I'll really go out of it. Because again, how many people am I going to meet? How many people are going to cross my path of such nature that I really resonate with? I mean, over the years, I mean, it's not even, I can count on one hand at least, type of thing. Just whatever. So, and again, we resonate differently. Yes, I mean, I felt her energy resonated with mine, but that doesn't mean I don't know where she's holding, in her own reality, in her own well-being, in her own psychology, in her own evolution, in her own growth. I mean, I don't necessarily know that. I couldn't get that enough information, but what I can see is that there's a potential being there, I mean, and there's something there. Anyway, so she walked right past, and I just couldn't do anything about it, and I just really felt frustrated, and I thought to myself, if the universe, for lack of a better word, or destiny, or fate, again, also just these loaded terms and words, wanted me to meet her, then it would have made it very simple. I mean, it would have just, I think, if it was supposed to be, like, she would have maybe stopped to tie her shoelace, maybe something, her bag slipped off her shoulder, and her lipstick, fell out the bag or something like that. Maybe, again, her shoelace came undone and she was tying it, and I managed to, just catch her, without seeming too obnoxious or bullyish or something like that, making too much of an advance. Something could have happened for myself, or maybe I slightly tripped as she was walking past, and then she says, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, thank you for asking me. And then I can introduce myself, but this was an opportunity. Or I could have been, further down on the promenade, bumped into her again as she was entering into her apartment. She couldn't find her keys. She was fondling for the keys in her bag, and I managed to catch her and just say, hey, do you know somebody who lives in this? I could have come up with so many things. Do you know somebody who lives in this building? His name's, I don't know, David Green, I mean, make something up. So, no, I'm not from around here. I don't know. But I just didn't have the opportunity. And so this is what I was thinking, folks, is that, like, a lot of our lives is so destined. A lot of our stories are so destined. Like, that's one thing. But I was thinking to myself, if I did meet her, let's say I met this woman, okay, and we just clicked, and there was just a connection. And I'm not saying in any intimate, romantic, sexual manner, but I mean, if there was that, then there was that. And let's say she said to me, hey, you know what, you're a cool guy, and myself and some friends somewhere in Europe, I don't know, are starting a self-sustaining farm. And not just farm, but like, I don't know, there's different names for it, but what's other terms for it, but you get the idea. There's a self-sustaining community out in nature, and really, I mean, we're looking for people like as yourself, and I'll give me your email address, and I'll send you the address, and it'd be great if you came to visit, check us out online. We have an internet page, and let me know, and be in touch, please. Or something like that. And then let's say for myself, all of a sudden this opportunity opens up for me, and now, my whole life takes on a different turn completely. Something like that. Or let's say I meet this woman and I fall deeply in love. I don't know. And she decides to, or she's from overseas, she's a foreigner. Maybe she's, let's say, Australian. And now all of a sudden for myself, it throws a massive curveball my way. I mean, it can be many things. She could not be a foreigner. She could live up the road from me. And so what I'm saying in that regard, it will change things around in a very big way. It would bring into, I suppose, for myself, what about my relationship with other people here? Like, what about my businesses? What about my rental? What about my life here in South Africa, which I'm not very keen on, but it is what it is. And so I could have thrown a curveball, for myself. But anything can throw us curveballs. In fact, we've thrown curveballs all the time, but some in major ways and some in minor ways. But even the minor ones are major at the same time. So what I'm saying is that, like, sometimes, we really want to meet like-minded people. Let's just say one example. But, the universe is just not providing. And yet we're not just staying at home, with the curtains drawn. We're going out, or we're online at least. We're trying our very best, and yet we just can't find anybody. It's like, there must be a reason for that, right? There must be something that, the universe knows us. That's what's unbelievable. The universe, God, the mystery, the magic, the Most High, whatever it is. It's like it knows us. It knows, like in this adjustment bureau. They had this idea that Matt Damon, played by David Norris, Matt Damon in the movie is supposed to become the president, I think, of America. And if he follows this Emily Blunt woman, this Lisa, whatever her name is, then he's not going to become president. And that's what he, and that's so the mysterious men who conspire to take her away from David are, powerful agents of fate, basically. So there is this element at play that, like, we have a type of destiny. We come here to experience the certain things that we've come here to experience. Some of us are like on our own completely, have been alone and on our own and not around people that we can really be ourselves with, that we can really find a common ground with, that we can talk to, that we can feel unconditional support and love from. We can share ourselves without any worry or concern, that people that we can grow with, people that we can talk to on a daily basis, people that are consistent, are present, in themselves. We're growing together. And many of us had to travel alone, right, for a long time, and it's been like, well, why is that? Why is that? Why has that been the case? Now, for some of us, why is it that some of us have been born into the families that we've been born into, or the cities, or the countries, or the time that we were born into? Is it part and parcel of what we've come here to be able to experience, to learn from? Because again, life is not necessarily the way that we want it, but apparently it's the way that we need it to be. You see, this is the hard pill to swallow, right? I mean, even for myself, I often think about, geez, if I lived in a first world country, if I lived in a country that wasn't riddled with crime, and my house wasn't broken into, and people that I know went in such potential harm's way. If I knew, if I could walk down the street and not have to really sort of be worried about looking over, having to look over my shoulder. If I could drive on the road where people didn't exceed the speed limits, if I could live in, I know that there's pros and there's cons to every single city and town and country and around the world, continent, on the one hand, I say, well, at least I don't live in the middle of the Saharan desert, or in the middle of the heart of Africa, like Nigeria or Botswana or Angola, or something like that, or even Zimbabwe. or something or other, or there's plenty of places, plenty worldwide I can be appreciative that I don't live in, right? There are things that I can be appreciative of, and there are things that I can honestly be unappreciative of. But because that's just so living in this country, I really don't feel appreciative of it. But in a way, what I can try at my stronger points, stronger times, appreciate is my the lessons that I'm learning and the way that I'm hopefully evolving and growing through my experiences, And so what if I've lived most of my life lonely, I mean, yes, that pains me, that I've had to live in a third world country almost, or just sometimes to certain family members. Why have I had to have certain families in my life? For what? I mean, how many of us out there actually say, why this family? Did I land up with this family? Why do I have this guy for a brother, or this guy of a sister? Why did I have this kind of a father or mother, or this kind of an upbringing? Why, heavens, why? Why can't we just go back in time and change it all, or tweak it just a little bit, but tweak it enough that, something or other. It's so difficult. So again, for myself, wow, I mean, I know I can't move to another country. I won't get into another country. I won't be able to afford to live in another country unless it was a third world country. But I can't get into. I can barely. It will take me how long just to get a visa to get into the United States? How long that would take me to do, and what I got to put on the line, and what's it going to achieve? I'm saying if I can go there just for a visit, maybe, so I can see maybe the grass isn't greener on the other side. But that's being, I'm saying there are countries where the crime isn't through the roof and people obey the laws, not completely lawless, and whatever it is not that every time you leave your house you've got to lock it up and put on alarm systems and make sure the gates are closed. It's so terrible every time you come back to your house. I mean, for myself, because it was recently broken into, in the middle of the night. Can you imagine? I mean, I think what I'm trying to say here, folks, is that we try and make sure that the situations that we are met with that are compromising to us, that there's very little we can do about, that it doesn't make us weak, right? Overall weak. I mean, at times, yes, we feel weak. We feel despaired. We feel grief, right? We feel its limitations. We feel that which it is can be suffocating at times. We feel how we do not appreciate what might be taking place, what might be going on, and we feel trapped by it, but it doesn't make our spirit weak. Okay, and so that's what I think I'm saying. Maybe an example would be somebody who is born with a disability. Okay, maybe someone who's born with a disability doesn't know much better, but I mean, it's hard for me to say, because let's say, heaven forbid, I lost a limb. I don't even think about it, and which, it's or something or other, and now I have to live without a limb, let's just say. Let's not even go into detail, but I still can't. I got to surrender to the fact that now I'm limited without the use of a certain limb. Okay, but that doesn't allow it to completely weaken my spirit. I still am able to continue. And you see, that's in a way, I mean, even with the limitations, and I'm able to find strength in it. Okay, now I'm just talking hypothetically, or just because I don't know. I'm often challenged by the smallest of things that seem to just really weaken my spirit, and so it's one thing saying it, it's another thing living it, what I'm talking about. I'm not on that level. But the other thing is that at the end of our time on this life, when it's all said and done, that even though no matter how compromising it could have all been, no matter how difficult and unjustified it all seemed, how limited it all seemed and felt, and it was, not just seemed, but it was, how brutal, cruel at times it was. And even though we can say, well, that's just part of the polarity, but beyond that, at least we can say that our spirit still continued, we still endured, and it didn't defeat us in spirit. We continued, and we just got higher and higher in spirit, working with our limitations, working with surrendering to what is, but not entirely giving up. That's what I think I'm trying to say. Anyway, so there are things that wouldn't it be nice, How many of us think, wouldn't it be nice just to travel? And so many of us do. We do feel that way, because some of us feel like, well, I'm in a dead-end job. I need to travel. I'd like to travel, but is it reasonable? You know what I mean? I'm sure there's many of us, we just think about the opportunities, what we could do. Should we break up with our partner? Should we quit our job? Should we move house? Should I just sell everything and, hitchhike across the globe or something like that? We have these thoughts and we think to ourselves, would it be reasonable? At the same time, we can think, sometimes we got to make that decision. Sometimes the decision falls with us. Like, sometimes the responsibility lies on your shoulders. The universe, whatever, the magic, the mystery has opened the doors. The potential doors lie there for you, but it's about you having to open them, right, and walking through them. And so we met with this, so I'm saying something different here, but it's not just all up to fate and destiny. Yes, we have a plan, but we don't even know what that plan may be. And so for many of us, we just need to be reasonable and say, well, look, like for myself, let's say, I want to leave this country, but how? It's not practical. It's not possible. But let's say if the universe did, hypothetically, I met a woman, let's say, who was an American woman here in South Africa. She was traveling on an NGO or something like that. We fell deeply in love and we decided to get married or whatever it is. And now I've got my green card into America. Now I'm out of this country, let's just say. That I'm just giving random example. That could happen, but in other words, the universe, if it wants, it'll make a way. It'll make it possible, and that's what we got to feel. Sometimes there are the doors that we think maybe we should walk through, but we've got to lean on the door sometimes as well for it to open. It doesn't just like spring open and something or other. You know what I mean? So sometimes I'm saying many things here. I'm saying, I think, on the one hand, that when you see that the universe is aligning up things for you, and it's pushing you in a certain direction, then that's what you got to go with, no matter what. Like you got to first go with your intuition, you got to go with your gut, and you got to go with the timing and seeing, is this where I'm being called to go? Is this where I'm being pushed to go? Is this where I'm being directed to go? Does this feel right? Does this feel reasonable? And we got to be in touch with that and see. And you can work it out. You can see through synchronicities. You can see through, if things, well, firstly, there's too many obstacles are falling in your way. There's too many delays, and it's not just about, well, push through or whatever, make it happen, come hell or high. No, it's not about that. Because believe me, when something's not supposed to be, and you try and force it as much as you possibly can, you're going to get nowhere. The universe will, the magic, the Most High, the synergy, the energies, whatever you want to call them, will put mountains in front of you, right? Will put mountains in front of you, but at the same time, it will move mountains. But if it's not supposed to be, it's whatever you try and do, it's just not there. You just can't make it happen. So that's it, folks. You've got to lean into the direction that we feel that the universe that we're being led into, right? And we've got to feel it and see and be patient and not force it, and be gentle on this process and in this unfoldment. And at the same time, again, to be able to accept that which is part of our journey, right? Part of our challenge, part of our lessons, part of our teachings. This is very, very hard to do, because at the same time, you don't want to surrender and give up. Like what I'm saying is that some of us are in very, very troubled relationships, let's say, that we should be leaving. Some of us should. And maybe you can get out of it, but you're just fearful to do that. Or maybe you're in a job. You're in some kind of situation that you're being compromised. Okay? But you might also feel that there's no way out. So instead of maybe, so you surrender and say, well, I'm accepting for what it is. I don't know, maybe you even got an illness. Maybe you've got a disease. I don't know. It might be something that's limiting you, it's holding you back, that there's very little that you can do about. So in one way, I need to do another talk on this. In the one way, it's about surrendering to what is, but it's not giving up a hope, or it's not giving up your efforts of of how you can apply yourself, within your attitude, within your intention, like within your limitations. In other words, if you're in an unhealthy relationship and you can't get out of it, right, just yet, then it's like, okay, so how do I take care of myself in this relationship? How do I be reasonable, about my limitations? How can I not give up on who I am because of the extremeness, or the exhaustion of it, the compromising of it? How do I not let it completely devour me, right? How do I still fight within the situation that I can't necessarily sort out completely, Like if you've got an illness or something like that, it's like, you just have to endure it. You just have to contend with it. That's what we have to do. We have to be patient. We have to apply ourselves. So it's a giving up, and it's not giving up. It's a giving up and a surrendering, but it's not entirely becoming helpless. It's a very fine line between all of this. And it's up to the individual to work that out, right? That fine balance of working that out, okay? So it's tricky, but one has to be paying attention and seeing again. So I don't know if that's made much sense. I could probably make it more personal in my own experience, where I realize in certain relationships, which I've spoken about, that I can't necessarily get out of right now, unless I created massive trauma to myself and others, and it's being completely unreasonable. So instead of just, I accept the reality to certain degrees at times, but I don't allow myself to feel that I'm just killing time. That's, I think, what I'm saying. We're not just killing time. It's not just a means. It's sometimes a means to an end, but there's meaning in the compromisation that we're often having to feel and put out and go through. Alright folks, I don't know if that makes sense at this late hour, but if it does, I'm glad it did. I'm glad. Alright, we'll chat soon. Take care.